And once again, people, we find ourselves in child base. I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. And as a matter of fact, we got to get on through this and everything to let you know. Again, this is the KTNG Morning Show. I really appreciate people coming through. You know, if you're on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. So that way you can get more of these feeds. I got dang near, I'm close to 100 shows here, dude, people. Okay? Now, in my time period, I probably have like more than 500. Hey, somebody's got to do it. But, you know, needless to say, DJ Sucker Punch is in the house. You know, he's always telling everybody, you know, save your nuts. And one of the other things that I always tell people and so forth is please learn encryption. Learn encryption, learn coding quickly as possible, people, because there's a lot of changes that are coming up and everything. So I want to get right down to it and so forth and let you guys know where you're at and what we're doing and how we're doing. Okay? So if anything, man, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what this is. And here we go. Welcome to Free Thought Radio, the KTNG Morning Show. Peak. And if you have to ask me, then allow me to speak so I can give you something that'll bing, 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 correlate your week and add it all up because it's closely ready for this morning sucker punch. I am. Oh, okay. Now, let's start off stuff. 1955, West Germany joins NATO, blah, blah, blah. 1960, FDA approves birth control pill. Another portion of the FDA, which I call the Fascist Drug Administration, meant for people to basically say, okay, yeah, I can go out and, you know, do what I want and be promiscuous. However, it did come with, you know, the population degeneration, as they would call it. Okay? Thank you, Planned Parenthood. Let's see. 1974, House begins hearings on Nixon impeachment. Ooh, that's a dirty word to say around here these days, right? Yeah, because, you know, we're looking at cheeseburger big time like that. Let's take the lettuce and the tomatoes off and see exactly what he looked like. Let's see. In 1978, Aldo Moro is found dead. Body of former Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro is found riddled by bullets in the back of a car in the center of historic Rome. He was kidnapped by the Red Brigade on March 16th after a bloody shootout near his suburban home. So that's when he's, you know, you don't definitely want to deal with the or become a middle class in that sense. Let's see, 1980 Summit Venture Collision. Nah. Let's see, 1994 Nelson Mandela chosen to be president in South Africa. Yes, that's right, the world's first black president of the world. He killed apartheid. Okay, he killed apartheid straight up and down. So that's basically one of the reasons why humanity. He presented a way of like saying that, you know, humanity can't exist alongside each other, you know, and he did that with love for his country and love for his people, which I can't say too much or say the same for our current, you know, ignoramus cheeseburger, which goes into the most effective news shout out of the day. Yes. Okay, so therefore, okay, we got to look at last night's results. And those results were, of course, needless to say, indicative of a cheeseburger. Okay? So, needless to say, let's say what we got here. Okay? Now, my only question here and so forth is this. Okay? My only question here is this. What does Israel have to fear when we, United States American taxpayers, have basically made it a welfare state for the last 60 some odd years? Okay? They have their nuclear weapons. Okay, and so therefore we got Mr. Bolton, you know, insinuating his, you know, his rhetoric of saying, you know, Iran bombs, so therefore let us bomb Iran. Okay, Iraq was totally different. Okay, now with Iran, you got like 80 million Muslims out there and so forth, and if you want to move them to ISIS and set fire to a paper U.S. flag during angry scenes after your bloaters of then hope European leaders will work with them to preserve the deal between them. Isn't that great? Before then, they wasn't even doing shit, but now they're okay. Quote, if necessary, implementation of this, and that has already happened in India. And India is in a mess as it is right now, considering that they got a grown-ass men out there raping kids anywhere between 12 to 15. But that's besides the point. During the demonstration, lawmakers held up a flaming U.S. flag as their fellow parliamentarians joined in anti-American chants. Death to America! And McDonald's. Anyway, they also burned a piece of paper representing the nuclear deal and stomped on the paper's ashes. While Sharani, according to the Iranian Students News Agency, said cheeseburgers lack mental capacity. Let me say this again. Cheeseburger lacked, quote unquote, mental capacity. Okay, whoever said this man had a high IQ and so forth probably missed out the entire thing. But we got to give Cheeseburger some props here, okay? Got to give him some props. He's the only douchebag, and its number of centrifuges for Tindi Jafari, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, was quoted as saying, okay, Wednesday by Iran's semi-official Fars news agency as saying, quote, "We welcome Cheeseburger's decision on pulling out of the deal. This is not a new event and has no effective role in any field whatsoever. It is clear that the Americans are not trustworthy." Wow. Okay, this comes after the fact that we refuse to have anybody from, any Arabic state, or pretty much this way, anybody from Africa coming into the United States. Because people of color are called terrorists, while our main homegrown terrorists, which we, breed every day, who shoot up schools, kill kids and innocent people, and so forth, and for that matter, don't get that certification. You know what I'm saying? Even still, we do did save those people and did his best and whatnot to stop some nutcase, some terrorist from, shooting up the place and getting away with it. But, since Cheeseburger is not forthcoming in saying congratulations, thank you for a job well done for being a hero, never mind. These brothers going to take his donations, he's going to give it out to those families and so forth that were affected by it, which is a lot more than the government would ever freaking do. Okay, so what are the places that are most affected by this entire thing? So you have to talk about the achievements of the deal itself. Okay, now the achievements of the deal, stops a lot of tariffs and everything. But unfortunately, the people who are going to be most affected by this, women and children, people in poverty, those who can't have good access to health or make their communities healthier at that. Because one of the signature achievements of the Iran deal was the Obama administration's ability to rally support from China and Russia, both backers of Tehran and strong trading partners with it, which also enjoy veto power on the UN Security Council. So by diminishing their ability to vote on the UN Security Council means that, yes, indeed, America's the strong, mighty power that says we are going to be what Hitler failed to do. Beijing and Moscow will most certainly not join the U.S. in placing new sanctions against Iran, as they did prior to the implementation of the agreement. U.S. tensions are currently high with China and Russia over international trade. And of course, if you're not seeing it in the food stores when you go buy foods at this particular point, then you are oblivious to what this jackass is actually doing to you. Go ahead. Say he's doing a great job. Okay? But what does that mean for gas and oil prices? Okay? Okay. We're looking at 87 bucks a barrel at this point. Let's move that to $150 a barrel. Then what? Since the U.S. basically supplicates a lot of oil, and we're doing our best and so forth trying to find it, but we keep causing environmental damage behind BP and Exxon oil, which Exxon is a part of the ALEC, membership. Kind of disgusting knowing that we're going to that. Even if we got this huge tax returns and so forth, it's going right back into the system at 3 times the rate. Isn't that smart? That's beautiful. New sanctions, Cheeseburger says the U.S. will impose, will also put China and Russia into a difficult position as Iran increasingly turns to them and India for economic ties amid the threat of new sanctions, said private geopolitical intelligence firm Stratfor in an analysis. Okay, I may not be the greatest political person in the world, but what it does and so forth is it means it shows it might mitigate the impact of any potential supply shortages, especially when it comes to oil. Okay, in addition to rising oil prices, Cheeseburger's new policy toward Iran may deals. This is all about property. Okay, if you never played the game of chess, okay, when you take food money, particularly from Russians, because they basically bankroll them, all right? And not only that, no bank will deal with this knucklehead either, all right? So, needless to say, the president says by Cheeseburger's decision on Tuesday do not apply to faraway countries, but it also has direct implications on Americans here and the treaties governing their immediate neighbors, namely the North American Free Trade Agreement, which Cheeseburger is threatened to tear up. Wow, he's already up there tearing up crap. I mean, it only takes a day for Obama fixed, since we had a whole bunch of garbage going on beforehand. Quote unquote, it suggests that Cheeseburger is not a bluster at all. No, he will walk away from bad deals. He trades long wrote. Many on the street are now likely wondering what he could walk away with from next, and NAFTA could be on the short list. For investors, the lesson of today is that it has all this year. It's best to be comfortable because volatility is here to stay. Chaos, volatility. How is it that, my question here is, how is it as we as American people are sitting here allowing this to continue on and on and on and on? I mean, the man had a difficult time, knowing that he's going to have to answer all 49 of those questions when it comes time to, do the investigation and everything. 9 times out of 10, here's the take on it. One, if he's subpoenaed, he will fight tooth and nail to make him look like a complete chicken shit. All right? But if he goes in there voluntarily, somebody better teach this man how to do some answering directly of the questions that are going to be posed to him. Okay, now if you want a list of those 49 questions, they're already available online. Just Google them. Straight Google them. You'll find them. All right? And that to me says a lot. It says a lot. That obviously, this fascist, neo-Nazi supported jackass, is going to make sure that everyone suffers for his maleficence. There's no other way you can basically say it. There's no other way you can say it. Okay, all right. So if he's going to basically do this, and of course bring the reputation of the United States down in the toilet again, then fine. You white supremacists wanted this. This is what you got. Okay, you're not going to have an ethno-geographical world of your own. It's never going to happen. As long as there's people of color on this planet, we make up diversity. We bring the color out of the world, not the color within that's stuck in your mind. Okay? If you're going to keep supporting losing heritage in that particular sense, by all means, go ahead. See how far that's going to get you. There are going to be laws that are going to be out there to change a lot of that stuff. Speaking of which, there are a lot of laws right now basically guaranteed to make sure that we continue the cycle of violence. We continue the cycle of downgrading the rights of individuals. People who basically go out can't even vote in certain states. People now can't even, do anything as far as, live their lives. And we have Cheeseburger to thank for that. And not only that, but the support of over 300 companies, corporations that support racist actions against people of color. Do you think that doesn't affect people's well-being at all? Do you think everybody, get over it, it just happened in the past and da-da-da-da? That is the sorriest excuse of realizing that we are going to repeat the same mistakes that we've made in the past. Do we continuously have this national foundation of seeing that possible jackass to sit up and vote for this fool who just said it? He didn't even have a speech prepared when he started his campaign and just went off the cuff and started just naming people as rapists and terrorists? Wow. We got enough of those already and who don't even have a distinction of color within them. Okay, sure, you may be a little bit blanco, but that's okay. You may be a little bit gravacho, but that's okay. You have your, privilege and you have your entitlement. Think of it, people. But you know something? There are people who basically realize that regardless if they are white, they understand the humanity part of it. Okay? I grew up watching Star Trek. I love seeing multicultural people doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, which is attaining more knowledge, helping other cultures, move in a positive manner, despite things out of the sky in their own defense. But you get what I'm saying. If we can't move to a society, a human society, that alleviates pain, suffering, degradation of people of color, elimination of poverty, those are the things that this entire world should be focused on, instead of let's give it all to the rich people and we take the poor people and we put them in a space to where they can't function anymore. And when they can't function anymore, they become empirical slaves. And if you're an empirical slave at this particular point, guess what? You don't have access to good health. You don't have access to food. You don't have access to your own damn money. For real. Think about it, people. Think about that one. It's a horrible thing to sit here and watch the world within the last 2 years spin in this particular fashion. But then again, everybody ignored the Aztec calendar, in which we were like slowly ticking ourselves into our own defeat, into our own end. So for all you religious buffs out there and so forth, there's going to be people left around that got left behind. Trust me, cheeseburger and this plagiarizing cave woman they call Melania, who can't even speak a lick of English whatsoever. Hey, I don't know how in the hell she got her green card. Oh, that's right, online brides. Gotta love that. I wouldn't even suggest that because that's like a faulty system altogether. It's kind of sad, man. It's really kind of sad that we are continuously allowing these things to continue and permeate more so in anything that that's ever happened. Impeachment. Get rid of Goomba. Get rid of Goomba. Call for impeachment. Call for it. Because if you see that it is affecting your health, it's affecting your community. If it's affecting your community, then it's affecting the laws that you have that are going to be set up. I'll give you one good set of laws that are coming up real quick, all right? Senator introduces measure floating years of prison for those who injure cops. Okay, on a scale, because I'm gonna continue the story because we're near the halfway point here. I'm gonna continue the story, but we're at the halfway point here. You're listening to on your mobile device. You're also watching on either YouTube and on Facebook, the KTNG Morning Show. Alrighty, we are doing this. Zulu King Freeze, good morning. Professor Darling, good morning. I appreciate you guys coming through and everything. This is a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do this for the simple reason because I've been doing this. I've been doing this for like more than like 10 years now. Basically explaining to people that if we don't do the research and we don't get up off of our asses and protest strong enough against our civic leaders, against our congressional leaders, our Senate leaders, whoever the heck they're wearing a certain tie, okay? If the constituents, as constituents, we put these people to look after our best interests. If our best interests are not being taken care of or looked at for that matter, guess what? Your rights are going straight down to the toilet. And they've been doing so for the longest time. For the longest time. And if you really want to look at how far back, let's start at Jimmy Carter and work our way up. Okay? Start with Jimmy Carter and work our way up. Okay? Our establishments, our political establishments here show no remorse for their constituents. Now, when it comes to foreign policy, we are definitely looking like, just garbage in front of everybody right about now. The whole picture here, because this is some sick whore. Attention, enough attention, then I'm going to do something that's going to cause people to pay attention to me. Percent of you think that this guy is a good guy. Fitting you to be an idiot, a lying idiot. Okay? This is not my commander in beef. This is some strange alien-looking sacker. Crap that, for the most part, running one of the most economic powers, one of the top economic powers on the planet. And he's going about doing this all over the place, man. This is like, oh my God. I mean, jeez. And the thing is, it's people. The government works for you. You mean to tell me we don't have enough people to actually sit up and, force our lobbyists to actually get in and say, okay, well, we got to talk to our senators, we got to start the GOP, we got to start the ball rolling here. Let's impeach this guy, okay, and get somebody else in. Because if we try to get somebody else in, guess who we got? Guess who we got on second base? Mike Pence, okay, the older version of Anderson Cooper on a bad day with no prune juice. All right, think about it, people. Mike Pence is just going to keep the pressure up, and he's going to basically take over and continue the legacy of a fallen, disgraced president. And if he takes out the rest of the 2 years and says, okay, well, I can do this. Ooh. Keep in mind, people, there are 144 women that are now running for Senate races. Okay, they're running for Congress. Okay, doctoring an era of world peace, public policy, and things that basically, help not only the disadvantaged and the underserved rise up from underneath the punishment. What good is the middle class then? Okay, many of you couldn't even put $400 together in case of an emergency would have come up. Nope. Okay, not at all. And that scares the crap out of me and several other people that think that this once great nation of diversity is slid down the slope of arrogance, ignorance, and pestilence. I mean, shit, you need one more. What is it, war? And then you got it. You got the 4 horsemen right there. You have allowed Satan to basically run this country right straight into the quagmire that it's in now. And everybody's thinking, oh, he's doing such a wonderful job. He's doing such a beautiful job. Really? The man who was ordering a diaspora against immigrants and migrants who tried to come to this country because their own countries are all hell on earth. Amazing. Totally amazing. This is the KTNG morning show. I'm your grits man here, and I am of how to. We just got a lot of answers. And what better answers than to elicit more subjugation? Okay? Story from the Hill: senators introduce a measure floating years of prison for those who injure cops. So far, there have only been maybe about a good 5 or 6 cops that actually went to jail, or 3 of them that actually went to prison. Okay? Stripped of their rank for what? Shooting unarmed black people. Shooting unarmed Mexicans. Okay? Aiding ICE on raids. That sort of thing. Okay? As the story goes, lawmakers introduced a bill yesterday that will penalize people with up to 10 years in prison if they seriously injured a police officer. Senator Orrin Hatch, a Republican of Utah. Senator Orrin Hatch is also the same guy who lobbies for the Fraternal Order of Police in this country. Okay? He's in Utah, and Utah is where the NSA is at. They collect information on you from your Obama phones, from your computers, from everything else. That's why I say, learn encryption, people. Learn coding. Senator Orrin Hatch introduced the Senate version of the bill, which is co-sponsored by Senator Heidi Heitkamp, a Democrat in North Dakota, and Representative John Rutherford, Republican, Florida, is sponsoring the House version of the legislation. Now, let me show you this process real quick, all right? Orrin Hatch has been influenced by the alt-right, okay? Heidi Heitkamp, come on. She's just blind, stupid, and dumb. John Rutherford, Florida, he knows he got his problems with it, okay? So therefore, you can't fight back against a cop that's basically beating your ass, okay? You can't use any particular rights that you may have as a civilian to challenge the police at that particular point. I say bullshit. If you know your rights, you can challenge any police officer there is. And basically tell them, say, look, I haven't done anything. Am I impeding your progress? May I go? You don't have to give up a name. You don't have to give up no ID. You don't have to give up nothing. Explanation, because one, they have not read you, they have not told you what it was for, and they damn sure ain't gonna tell you your Miranda rights. And they're trying to get rid of the Miranda rights even as we speak, people. So keep your eyes on the prize of that, because once the Miranda rights go, we're back to like what? SS Nazis. And that's exactly what the right wing wants. That's exactly what the alt-right wants. That's exactly what the white supremacy wants. Do you not see that coming? Hatch said in a statement, the bill, quote unquote, makes clear that no criminal will be able to escape justice when he singles out and assaults those who put on the badge every day to keep us safe. He ain't keeping us safe. They ain't keeping us safe. They're keeping us in check. All right? They're keeping us in check. Do you not hear the drones that fly over your neighborhood at all? At night. Official FBI statistics for the past decade show fluctuation in the number of officers killed in felony homicides, and all 50 states already have measures in place to discipline those who injure law enforcement officers. Okay? First of all, one, how are you going to injure somebody that's carrying a gun? How are you going to injure somebody that's carrying mace? How are you going to injure somebody who's wearing a bulletproof vest? How are you going to injure somebody who is aggressive enough to step out of line, across that blue line, just to put their hands on you without giving you due process, without showing you their reason for or reading your Miranda rights? Police groups are advocating for the measure who claim officers are at a higher risk than before. You know why they're at a higher risk before? Because people are beginning to arm themselves against them. Okay? Civil rights groups are warning that the legislation, which echoes language used in hate crime laws, could manipulate the intent of those hate crime measures. Okay? So if the civil rights groups are basically saying, well, this is a bad thing, dies on the floor, congressional floor, or it basically goes forward. And if it goes forward, that means that the police departments will be able to get more money. They'll be able to have more tactical equipment that is used, or for that matter, that is basically secondhand from the military. They have to recycle this stuff. I mean, they spend $450 billion going to the Pentagon and military organizations and whatnot, and yet still, once they get once these things are basically turned out as far as usefulness, they go to the police departments. And as in Ferguson, Missouri, once showed us before that these armaments can be used to crush rebellion, to crush dissent, to crush disgust and the amount of hate crimes that are coming from these police departments. So if anything, if we don't attack the FOP at its source, fighting police officers will not make a difference, because now you can wind up getting 10 years in jail behind it. Who does this help? Oh, that's right. Prison system. That's right. This more or less helps with the Supreme Court's decision on the right of suspicion. Okay? Which means if they write you a ticket and then they take their time and so forth and say, well, you know something? I suspect something else after the ticket, after the fact. Okay? And if they do that after the fact, that infringes upon your rights. That is called using the right of suspicion. Okay? Now, who was on that table who allowed this law to come into effect? Your boy, Clarence Thomas. The guy who graduated from Yale. The sellout that basically is just selling all of us out. Okay? So when you have suspicion to make sure that you are putting somebody in prison, you are helping the prison industry. The prison industry has never, ever saw a recession because it's so much profitable to put more black and brown people inside of a cage, okay? Like the word projects. They're an experiment, okay? You got people cramped up in little conditions and seeing how far they'll go, or basically how far they will drop. And we're talking and that's a health issue altogether. Quote, there is no doubt that police work is a dangerous undertaking, but the reality is that there has been a continuing decline in the number of officers killed or assaulted in the line of duty in the last several decades. Groups including the American Civil Liberties Union and the NAACP, Legal Defense and Educational Fund, said in a letter to the senators. Do you think those senators give a damn about your ass? You, the constituent, the voting constituent, you, the constituent, who is going through voter laws, voter acts and so forth to keep you from voting since you don't have an ID card. These are the same senators who've been voted in by money from the NRA, from ALEC. There are 300 corporations. Corporate racism is keeping discrimination practices up. And for some stupid reason, we are not putting all of this together. We're not capable of putting this all together because we are getting subterfuge. We're getting, we're getting all kinds of garbage and, distractions. Follow the money, you'll find your answers. Follow the money, you'll find your answers. For real. Think of it, people. Think of it. All right? Because in that sense, that means the poor migrants that are coming across for asylum, who are having their children stripped from them in this particular modern day diaspora against Latinos is horrible as expelling 300,000 immigrants. Okay? From the Washington Post, U.S. Embassy Cable warns against expelling 300,000 immigrants, but Cheeseburger's officials did it any damn way. So in other words, it doesn't matter what we want. It only matters as what Cheeseburger wants. See what I'm saying, people? See what I'm saying? And if Cheeseburger wants an ethno state to be inside of the United States, this makes way white supremacists, for every neo-Nazi group, for every white militia, to have their own contingencies. Yes, the damn thing is running. Okay, anyway, here's the story, people. The past 6 months, the Cheeseburger administration has moved to expel 300,000 Central Americans and Haitians living and working legally in the United States, disregarding senior U.S. diplomats who warned that mass deportations could destabilize the region and trigger a new surge of illegal immigration. No, it will not. It is giving way to white supremacy, which is calling for an ethnic state anywhere that if they sit there and say, yes, now we have heritage. That's right, we built this country up from the recession. Basically, jackasses, who built the country before that even happened? The warnings were transmitted to the top State Department officials last year, and Embassy Cable's now at the center of an investigation by Senate Democrats, whose findings were recently referred to the Government Accountability Office, GAO. And therefore, a copy of that report has been obtained by the Washington Post. The cable's content, which had not been previously disclosed, revealed career diplomats' strong opposition to terminating the immigrants' provisional residency known as Temporary Protected Status, TPS, and the possible deportation of hundreds of thousands of people to some of the poorest and most violent places in the Americas. Wow. Then people move on, people come from different countries only to find themselves in the ghetto, and then because it's more easier to find people in the ghetto, boom, they're thrown out, right? Okay, so then Secretary of State Rex Tillerson dismissed the advice and joined the other Cheeseburger officials in pressuring leaders at the Department of Homeland Security to strip the immigrants of their protections, according to current and former administration officials whose accounts were consistent with Senate Democrats' findings. On Friday, Department of Homeland Security canceled the provisional residency of 57,000. Let me say that number again, 57,000 Hondurans, whose numbers add to the 195,000 Salvadorans and 46,000 Haitians previously given 18 months to leave the country or face deportation. TPS recipients from those three countries are the mothers and fathers of an estimated 273,000 U.S.-born children who will have to leave or separate from their parents. More diaspora. Political diaspora. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it how white supremacy basically says that you can't even live in a country that you help bring in profit, that you help bring in economy, okay? Whereas their own outlook is saying they're a drain on American resources. What resources, okay? You're drilling pipelines all over the freaking place. You're desecrating Native American lands just for your own sake and greed. And out of the 300 corporations that support crap like this, that are on the ALEC list, as I call it, corporate discrimination is at an all-time high here. The phased expulsions are a central part of Cheeseburger's administration efforts to raise physical and legal walls around the, U.S. immigration system. Together with Cheeseburger's move to end protections for 690,000 Dreamers brought to the United States illegally as children. His administration has stamped an expiration date on the residency of 1 million immigrants. And Congress, I mean, what is that supposed to do? You can't kill them, so the best thing you can do is just say, okay, forget about the preamble of, like, what the Statue of Liberty means. Send us your huddled masses. You're worried. You're persecuted. You're, this, that, and everything else. The American, the Statue of Liberty has now defined herself as a lying bitch. Okay? And I use that term frequently. Okay? In Congress, several proposed bills that would legalize Dreamers have also included provisions for allowing TPS recipients to remain in the United States, but those negotiations have stalled. And they're going to stall to a point where it's like, okay, let's drop it off the table, burn it, throw it in the garbage, get rid of these guys, and it's a done deal. Democratic staff members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee had, for several months, sought from the State Department information that its decision-making process. They were allowed to review the diplomatic cables in January. Their report, staffers say, shows the extent to which Tillerson and other cheeseburger officials, ketchup, mustard, pickles, lettuce, and tomatoes, okay, undermined the State Department's regional experts to advance the White House's immigration objectives, okay? This is what is known as creating the premise, giving it the premise for white supremacy to have an ethno-state. And when you have an ethno-statehood, guess what that means? It means that those who sit up and worry about white genocide in this country are going to have a platform. Not only a voting platform, but also a decision-making platform in this country. Senator Robert Mendez, New Jersey, the committee's ranking Democrat, wants Tillerson's successor, Mike Pompeo, Pom-Pom Man, to review whether the administration's be reversed. Quote, it would be woefully irresponsible for Congress to turn a blind eye to these discoveries, he told everybody. Okay? In a letter to the GAO, seeking a separate independent investigation, Mendez expressed suspicion that Tillerson's recommendations to terminate the TPS program was made, quote unquote, deliberate disregard of the advice provided by the State Department officials. The senator said investigators also have evidence the White House's Domestic Policy Office, quote unquote, sought to repeatedly influence the TPS process to ensure a predetermined outcome. The predetermined outcome is this: they're going to just boot it out of here. All you're doing, there is a passage in the Bible in which the government will take control of your children. And if they can't have the American children, guess whose children is on the block? For servitude, indentured servitude, at low minimum wages, especially in red states. Says Mendez, I am concerned that this Department of State, under the Secretary of State Tillerson's leadership, acted. According to current and former State Department officials, the embassy cables were received by Tillerson's aide, but generated no reply from the Secretary or his staff. In the ensuing weeks, Cheeseburger's senior advisor, immigration hardliner Miller, regularly speaks to the State Department and DHS, but that the TPS policy decisions followed the process established by law. Quote, queer State Department officials started his campaign on rapists and thieves and thugs and mugs and all that crap. Something wrong here. Something wrong. Okay? Totally something wrong. If you don't want free immigrant labor, if you don't want the incarceration rate, as high as it is now, then what's the sense of having a preamble that says, bring us your huddle masses, those who've been persecuted, those who are facing, the evils in their own countries. We will put them up here and we will absorb them into this, this country's preamble. This movement, which is basically crying about white genocide, all puns intended, that snowball's kind of white. All right? Think about it, people. If Americans are supposed to be Americans, then damn it, act like Americans. Act what the preamble tells you. Okay? All right? And therefore, don't let them push you around. Don't let them push you out of this country. Okay? Band together. Unify yourselves. Find ways to use the system correctly and legally and present your cases. Sure, if you're, if you're being abused or raped or anything like that and so forth, you're going to wind up getting thrown out of this country. And that sucks. It totally sucks. Okay? We got enough problems with internal terrorists, internal rapists, internal bad hombres, okay, that were actually born in this country who claim that they have a heritage to murdering people, to discriminating against people, okay? And this is the type of government that you want to support. This is the type of place that you want to come here and you see what we're doing to people outside of the country as well as inside of the country behind this jackass. Yeah, that's like finding ticks on your damn muffins. Thank you, CDC, for that. Anyway, fact of the matter is this, people. We have the actual ability to stop this bleeding, this profusive bleeding that's going on in this country right now. And if we don't come together, if we do find a way of coming together as one people, regardless of race and economic background, as John Gold once wrote in the Redneck Bible, if we do put those damn things aside and march up on Washington and basically these people know exactly how we feel as human beings, your civil rights and your human rights and your health right and your rights to good health are going to go right down the toilet. Or as the old guy that I used to look up to, standing on a soapbox in a ragged t-shirt, says, "The end is nigh. We're going to hell in a handbasket." Well, we're already living in hell. Somebody just has to build the damn handbasket. And we can just all walk in casually and say, "Oh, that's my seat there." Okay? Seriously. If that's what you want, that's not what I want. What I want to see basic unity. I want to see love. I want to see harmony exist on this planet before I leave it. But if not, then I will come back as an avenging angel and I will right those wrongs so hardcore. A little bit harder than this. But I feel that I'm doing my job here. I'm adding to the consciousness of waking up people and making sure they stay awoke. Which is the reason why I wake up with so much trouble on my mind. Refused. And I ain't giving up nothing. Straight up. That's right, babies. We can sit around and talk about it, or we can sit up and do something about it. Okay? What better way than to stop using physical force and become the Trojan horse this government needs? Get inside of the government and wreck it from within. Make it evil. Make it an even playing field for everybody. Everybody has human rights. Everybody has universal rights. Everybody has civil rights. Act like you got them. Know your rights, people. Because if not, we will systematically vote those away because there are going to be people that we voted in that are going to make that more apparent than anything else. So we have to give a great big hand to the Koch brothers and their foundations for making all of those laws succinct. Right? Round of applause because they just gave America another sucker punch. There. Wrap your fingers around that one. If you need to rewind and so forth, go ahead. Check out the news. Check out everything that's happening around you and so forth. Know what's in your front and your backyard before you go outside and try to fix everything else. Stop trying to be water pistol man, cheeseburger. You ain't doing nothing but ruining this country left and fucking right. All right? Pardon my French, but oh well. People know this. People see this. People hear this. Okay? What part of wake up do you thought people do not? Y'all don't know that. Y'all don't understand that there's a W there, and then there's an A, and there's a K, and there's an E, and then there's a U, and there's a P. We up, okay? And if you're not up, keep on getting down with the get down, with the get down, with the get down. All right, people, I got to get out of here. This has been the KTNG Morning Show. Glad you guys came through and so forth. So therefore, you can have something to think about for the rest of the, if not for the whole week. That's right. Bingo, bango. Like us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, become a member, subscriber to KTNG. That's right, we are protecting the First Amendment here. Not only that, but we are free thought radio, free thought media. Long before that, can do. It can motivate, it can inspire, and it can capitulate those who are in power. So if anything, people, let me get up out of here and